And unfortunately, somewhere along the lines, I put the extra memory chip in my pocket and it must have flung out somewhere. Welcome back to another episode of Broke Premiere, guys. This episode's gonna be a little different. It might end up being a little shorter. I don't know, we'll find out in the end. Things got a little weird. If you haven't been here and you're new to the channel, previously we've been working on my 2004 Toyota Avalon that I picked up for $2,000. It has 149,000 miles, runs like a champ, drives like a dream, but it came with a destroyed fender and a busted windshield. Had a non-stock rim. It has some damage down here, as you can see, but it was also missing the insert, so it just looked ugly. Ended up getting some fog lights, new rim, new windshield, new fender. And then yesterday, I had already taped an intro and I'd already kind of showed you guys what I was going to do to this car, what I ended up doing to this car. And unfortunately, somewhere along the lines, after going to about, I think it was 12 or 13 stops I counted yesterday, between different auto parts store, having to go to the next one, same deal with that Harbor Freight, going to the next one, back to the original one, going to Home Depot, a whole bunch of stops to get stuff to work on this car. Anyway, I taped all that, and somewhere in that mix, I put the extra memory chip in my pocket and it must have flung out somewhere. I've called a couple of places to see if anyone turned it in. I didn't expect them to, but I figured better than not trying. And then my second memory card, I think it taped like 27 videos in like 3-minute increments, and 23 out of the 27 were corrupted. So I don't know, whatever the powers may be in this world, the universe, God, whoever you believe in, but whatever those powers may be, I don't think wanted me to put out that content for you guys. So what happened yesterday is I ended up cleaning these seats a little better. You can't really tell now, but they were a little more dirty. Some of the grit in here is just stuck. The cracks are permanent, like it's actually tearing in the fabric. So I'm not gonna mess with it anymore. I got it the best I could. So I cleaned the front seats a little better, cleaned the steering wheel a little better. In fact, I wanna get this spot right here, I just noticed. I fixed that back plastic that was busted. It ended up just being a couple of clips that were wrong. So that's all fixed. I was going to touch this and try to fix it, but I realized after taking off some things, the amount of stuff I'm gonna have to take off just to reach in here and hopefully do this, I think I'm gonna do more damage than good, so I decided to leave the sunroof how it is. I'm not gonna mess with it. But I then took it to a drive-in car wash, and I ended up cleaning the engine bay, and I also cleaned the trunk. So the engine bay looks sharp now. I always like to clean the engine bay. I think it shows just more care for a vehicle. So it looks a lot more sharp, and I doubt any of you guys remember what it looked like, but it wasn't too bad. It was just a little funky in here, but it did clean up very nice. Very happy about that. The trunk, I haven't seen since the carpet dried, but the trunk had a couple pieces of like hay or something that I vacuumed all out, kind of cleaned it up a bit. And then this thing, you can still kind of see it. There's a shade of something here that's dirty. There's a stain, like an oil stain. So I tried to clean that out, and apparently it didn't. It's not as bad as it was, but it's definitely not like this color over here. This color's nice. It is what it is. I still think it looks pretty good for a trunk. Happy about it. I ended up cleaning all the door sills, so there's no more grit, grime in the door sill. Oh, looks like that's new from the wash. Maybe there is a little grime. Okay, yeah, so still looks pretty good. I'm content with that. Anyway, I ended up going to a second car wash where the guys vacuumed and washed and polished the outside, did the tires, cleaned up the new tire, which is a big thing I want to do. And I ended up doing that simply because the car was mostly done. It was mostly clean. I didn't think it would have been worth my time to sit an entire day trying to clean this whole thing with something that looks already pretty good. So I figured I would just go pay the guys, they could do it. Also, my power washer is on the fritz. It's like on its way out. The pump's clogging up. The little soap dispenser, I think you guys might have saw in the Volkswagen, it shot the soap dispenser out. It's a Harbor Freight special. I kind of expected it to go. It's gotten through about 10 or 15 cars so far. It's done well, but it's definitely time to upgrade. So that's probably gonna be one of the next things I do is upgrade that thing. I ended up running to Walmart and getting the new floor mats that I usually get for these cars. It's a cleaner look. In fact, I'll show you the old ones. I still kept them. Really don't know why. I might just throw them out, or they might go in the Mustang. But these are the old ones. If you remember, they have like that. It looks like they bleached this thing white. That's how many times it's been cleaned. So, in fact, I'm gonna get these out of here right now. All right, yeah, much better. And then I ended up taking the car down to get some photos taken at like this new little beach spot, which I'll show you probably eventually in the next couple of videos for the Hyundai or something. But I found a cool little spot. I don't know if I'll go back. It was a little grim, a little more cloudy there, which I'm sure everyone's kind of laughing about. But in San Diego, it's almost always sunny. It's almost always blue skies that are beautiful. So if it's cloudy, it does kind of weirdly affect people and the way they view things. So it was a little grim looking there. So I don't know if I'll use that space again. We'll see in the next time if I go. So yeah, right now the Avalon is done. It's ready to be sold. It's ready to be listed. And then what I started to do after that yesterday was I started to go get all the parts and tools I'm going to need to finish this thing. That was a very, very long endeavor. So maybe that's why the forces that be decided to get rid of everything. Basically what I ended up doing is I went and finally got a DA sander so I could sand down the body here. I went and got body filler. I went and got matching paint. I went and got a bunch of tape. All these at separate different stores. And then I went and got sandpaper at a different store. Ended up just being probably 4 or 5 hours of me driving around at different stores, getting one piece here, one piece there, but got everything. So with all of that said, and where we are up to date now, my goal for this morning, since it's already Wednesday and I have to edit this video, is I would like to tackle sanding down that spot, filling it with some Bondo or body filler. And I know I should do a little more kind of pulling to try to get that one little crevice out, but then I gotta go buy an arc welder, or at the very least go get my welder. I'm not gonna do that, at least not in this one. I'm just gonna practice smoothing, sanding, block sanding, just kind of start learning the technique and try to make this thing decent. And then if I have time after that, I would like to at least primer the door, the new door for this thing, and maybe even paint the inside of the door so that we can mount it. We'll see how it goes. It's already 2 o'clock. The morning kind of got away from me a little bit, and I only have until about 6, 7-ish till sun starts going down. So we'll see how much we can achieve. Hopefully we can get there. I'm hoping this thing knocks out the sanding in like 20 minutes. I hope no one's laughing right now while they're watching this, but I really am hoping that. We'll see. I got like 80, 120, 180, and then maybe 320 and 400. I don't know. Got a bunch of different sandpapers, but I'm basically just gonna cut it down with 80, get to bare steel, and see where we go from there. So anyway, guys, that's the goal for right now. Let's get started. All right, so it's about 2.5 hours later. One of the things I learned is I need a better compressor. Basically, I get about 2 or 3 minutes out of sanding, maybe not even that, maybe 1.5 to 2 minutes of solid hard sanding, and the compressor has run out of everything. So I think it's good for small little projects, but something like this, a DA, an angle grinder, definitely a spray, paint sprayer. It's kind of why I never went this route yet. I know I need to get a better compressor, and this just definitely confirmed it. It's gonna be, although shorter, longer, especially when cutting hard. I think that's gonna come in handy when I'm kind of just going over the whole car quick, get a nice scuff. But for actually trying to shape things and clean them up does take a lot out of the air compressor. As you guys probably saw, this has been repaired before, and I didn't think it was. I kind of had an idea it might have been just because there was a giant crack of where the paint was, and usually that happens with a bad Bondo job. So I assumed there might have been, but I wasn't positive. But now I'm sure of it just from all these little tack welds from little pull pins that they use to try to pull the metal back out. They definitely didn't do the greatest job. The angle here kind of is sharp, and then this angle doesn't really match to over here. It is what it is, but I don't want to mess with it too much. I just kind of want to get the roundness back here, a little bit up here to get the roundness of this top layer, and then I want to actually just fix this edge mostly. This is the main problem of why this even started, but I saw the bad paint here, figured I'd dig a little bit, maybe fill it in, and I realized how bad it got as I kept going. It tends to be the issue from what I see on other YouTube channels. Like once you dig a little bit with Bondo, you find the giant mess underneath. Also, it started coming up here. You can see the layer of Bondo. So I think all of this has been Bondoed, this whole edge, because it's a lot smoother, like a rounder than a sharper edge like the front fender is. So if you look at the front fender, you can actually see like this hard line right here that goes around the whole fender. Basically, this section's flat, this section's rounded. Over there, they kind of rounded that edge all the way around. So they kind of have it flat, but it's still just a little softer. So I think this goes all the way back. I don't want to redo the whole thing. I think I'll mess it up more than doing any good. So what I want to do right now is put on the first layer of body filler, kind of see where it's at. So first what I'll do is wipe this down with some rubbing alcohol, then come back in, mix up some body filler, and throw it on there. So that's my goal for right now. Let's get started. All right guys, the filler is done. Again, took way longer than expected. So I think that is going to be almost the full episode. I do want to prime this thing. And I think you saw that I put on like probably 3, maybe 4 layers. I want to do it right. The first time I ever tried this, I put on a giant blob and I never could sand it down. I learned watching some videos that if you put it on and it's almost just a tiny bit tacky and you kind of clean it with some like wax and grease remover or rubbing alcohol and kind of take off the shiny layer or the tacky layer, it seems to be mostly hard, and then you can sand it down pretty easy, which was a great benefit. That's what I did. And then you saw me take the DA out and use 320 grit on it to really take away all the scratches and scar marks from the 80 grit that I was using. Most of it's done. I know the light's kind of cruddy right now, but I am going to be turning on my lamp, but this is all nice and smooth now. It's not perfectly straight. I know it's not. Right here there's a dip, and right in here there's a dip, and this spot isn't that smooth either, but it's kind of the way it is, the way they did the metal work. This metal spot is the high spot. All right, I decided to turn on the light. So yeah, just kind of the way that they did this metal spot is the high spot. This bare metal area is the high spot. So there's not really a way that I can work this more round. This is always going to be a little higher. So I'm trying to kind of come off of it and build a little bubble, but it's not going to be perfect. I already know it just from the work that was there and how I'm trying to work it in. Like here is all mangled. I need to get a spot welder next, I guess. And then up here is kind of a high spot. It was kind of pulled down and created a high spot here. And then here is mangled in a little bit. It's the best that I can get it for the moment. So what I want to do right now, just to kind of wrap up for this evening, is I want to tape this off and primer it. At least throw a couple coats. First, I'm going to clean it one more time with some rubbing alcohol since I just put my fingers all over it. But then I want to, set up some fill primer, maybe do a couple of coats of that. So I'm going to get started with that, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. All right, guys, I ended up finishing up the primer. I think I put like 3, 4, maybe even 5 coats in that thing. The first coat, 2 like gnats flew right into it. So that was what I was picking out of the paint, and then I was sanding and trying to make it soft again. Ended up kind of messing it up, but I think when I do the final sand before I put the color on, it should blend in really nice. I'm not really too worried about it. I did see some mess ups that I had like right along the edge of the door, kind of, I guess the rocker panel, right along the edge that goes into the door lip. I didn't fill that in all the way, so there's a little bit of divots, a couple places I'm afraid it might crack, so I'm gonna try to sand that down a little bit without going too aggressive when I go to do the overall paint of the car. But yeah, anyway, unfortunately I didn't get to the door, just ran out of time. It's already 9 o'clock at night. I gotta edit this thing so you guys can watch it tomorrow. It's gonna be a very late night, and I'm sorry this is such a short episode. A lot's been happening behind the scenes, guys. I made that other video on Tuesday. If you guys have seen it, I'm not looking for you guys to watch it, honestly. If you're interested, great. But if not, I'm not hurt that you don't watch that one. I'm trying to find new ways to kind of help get the subscribership up so I can start making this a little more entertaining for you guys. If I can get more ad revenue, get more subscribers, and I can make some more fun builds, buy cooler builds. I'd like to do like a 2015 BMW M3. Something cool, something fun flip, but I'm trying to make a little episode. So every Tuesday I'll probably be releasing, or every other Tuesday, maybe every couple of Tuesdays, I'll release something similar to what happened this past Tuesday. But other than that, the schedule will remain the same. Also some new news, me and the missus have acquired a salon for her to work at. She's a hairstylist. So we finally got her first salon. So the content may be a little short these next 2 to 3 weeks. I'm gonna try my best to fill it up, and hopefully you guys get to enjoy it as much as you can. But if it does change, just bear with me. Please be patient. Don't give up on me. But I am gonna try to make it the best I can. I was thinking about taping some of the salon work, but I wasn't sure if you guys wanted me to do that. This is a car channel. Eventually I'd like to do other building stuff, but I don't know. If you guys are interested in that, please let me know down below if that's something you'd be interested in, seeing all the salon work. It's gonna be a lot of what I do here, not knowing what I'm doing and just going for it. So I will be tackling some things that aren't too aggressive in the salon. Most of it's gonna be paint, putting up wallpaper, changing some lights, setting up some mirrors. It's gonna be basic stuff for a salon, nothing too crazy. But on the next episode, I do wanna sand down the whole car, and I really do wanna try to paint it in one day. I don't remember if I was able to sand and paint all the other cars in one day. I think I was. It's just a full, very long day. So I'm gonna try to do that in the next episode. I still have to do that door. It's gonna be pretty easy compared to everything I just did. I am starting to dig the body filler. I know it's not gonna be perfect, but it is fun. It's kind of meditative to put it on, sand it off, put it on, sand it off, feel it, try to get it perfect. It's kind of cool. So it's definitely something I'm gonna be more into now that I kind of have an idea how it works. With all that said, I think next episode is gonna be fun. It's gonna be very active. And I also got all the parts in for the cars, both of them. In fact, here they all are. This is all for the Hyundai. I got a water pump, gaskets, thermostats. I ended up getting 2. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. I ended up finding all of the orders that I thought were stolen. So I kind of feel bad, kind of blaming Karen on that one. They were here, they threw them over my neighbor's fence. I got a hold of the mailman this morning and kind of asked him if he knew if they put them anywhere different. And then he pointed this weird spot and I looked at it and it's like someone's backyard, basically. But found the boxes, so I got to send back some parts today that I spent like an extra 56 bucks trying to get like the timing chain set. So I got to send that back, get some of my money back, and the new one is right here. So all the parts are here. I'm very excited. So we are gonna be doing that probably next week at one point, at least the first timing chain and head gasket on the Hyundai. Then I'll probably start tackling the Kia. So that's the goal for the next couple of weeks, next couple episodes. I think that is going to wrap this up. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll catch you again on Sunday. Later, guys.